Okay, we're back. We're back. We're back.
Wow. Wow.
But you're absolutely right, and I think that's why the main reason why I like wanted to do this topic is because we we are like people who have been there, and we are people in recovery are those people who one day realize like, oh shit, like I have to do this myself. Nobody is, and not that nobody's coming to save you, because there are people who are coming there to help, and there are people there that are there to not necessarily provide comfort, but to to help out when needed, and who are there to help us um, while we are there. But we have to realize that we need it for ourselves, and so um, sometimes you might not even be fully ready to do it yourself.
No, there's a lot of times you're not ready. I think a lot of people in most of their addiction aren't truly ready. Even when you start to get into sobriety, you're not ready. I mean, you've taken the steps, yeah, but you're not ready. I can honestly say I wasn't. I did the steps because I felt like it was something I had to do. It took time to realize it's not something I had to do. It was something I needed to do, and
Hmm.
there's a big difference, and a lot of people don't realize that until, like I said, until you have time and until you talk to other people. And like it took time. Like I had to talk to you. I had to talk
Yep.
to people in AA that had already been through it. I had to talk to counselors. And I kind of had to, like, you have to carve your own path in sobriety, but that's anything in life. You have to carve your own path. You can't say, "Oh, this person did it this way, so I'm gonna do it the same exact way and expect the same results," because that's impossible.
Well, and I,
You
I was
have
talking, I was talking earlier to someone about that, and just that, like we can't be focused on other people. We
no.
can't be focused on um like what this person's doing, and how like we have to be focused on our lives, our recovery, because at the end of the day, if we're not focused on our recovery, then what's it matter?
I think that's one of the reasons why I feel like, sometimes Facebook and the platforms that we use are kind of like a toxic thing sometimes, because it kind of makes you focus on other people's lives. Whether it's positive or negative, you're still focused on the next person and what they're doing instead of kind of focusing on what you're doing in your life. And some people need that, I guess. So I'm not going to judge them on that because some people need the distraction, but I don't think it's right. I
Yeah,
think that you need the silence for a while.
yeah, I agree, and
Am
I
I
and I think
echoing on your?
what's that?
Am I echoing on your side?
I don't hear an echo.
No, I do. Yeah, hold on.
Do you hear an echo?
On my side, yeah. Hold on. Hold on. About to flip mode.
Do you hear an echo still?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's gone.
Wait, it's gone.
Okay.
We
I
are good.
adjust. I adjusted a couple of not a couple, but I turned on like off background noise from all of
Oh, okay.
ours.
Because I'm like, I can hear it in mine, and I'm like, that don't sound right. It was like a delay on mine. So, but we're good.
Um, but um, yeah, I think it's important too that we we realize, like, and this is for anybody who hasn't been in addiction, like, don't, and I think a lot of people walk away at the wrong moment, because you can stay for too long, and I think some people can walk away too early. Um,
Yeah.
and so, and I think that's just it. It might bring up old feelings for someone else, because we don't know what other people have gone through as far as like difficult things like that. But um, I think for those people who know people in addiction, but you've never been in addiction and things like that, is don't give up too quick. Like, keep keep hope that it's you're close. Like, the moment you give up might be the moment that one extra time that was needed for them to be like, yo, like, I need to get out of here. And so for those people on the outside, like, don't give up on them too quick, too early.
No, that's why I mean we try our best not to, regardless of what, the people that we try to help disappoint us or make mistakes. We have to remember that our job is to hold on and to give them that hope and to give them that, whether it's a second, a minute, an hour, give them any type of time so they can help themselves. You can be your just you staying strong for somebody, an extra day could mean the difference between life and death.
One hundred percent.
And unfortunately that's the harsh reality of really pretty much anything in life. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't hang on, and support somebody or help somebody for a certain time and you just kind of give up on them, or you decide that they're not worth your time, that you don't know the type of effect that has on some people. you know
Absolutely.
I truly believe that no one, us as human beings aren't meant to be alone.
No, not at all.
I think that we're a species that has to be um in a group or with other people, and if you seclude yourself or kind of fall into the cracks of being alone, that's a setup for you know depression and other horrible things. You know, you get ideas and you get support and you get motivation from other people. You can't do that if you're by yourself.
Yeah.
You can only self motivate yourself for so long, and then it's just like, well, shit. How long am I going to motivate myself? But then the moment you have a bad moment because you've secluded yourself, you don't just fall like a few steps. You fall a few flights down, because you're like, no one's catching you. And that's what I mean. I get, no one's there to save you, but you'd be surprised how many people will still try.
Absolutely.
Of course, nobody's gonna, rightfully do it on their own, but you'd be surprised how when you ask for help or at least tell people I may need it, how many people that you thought didn't care will come out of nowhere and show that they care. And then even some people that you didn't expect to do it, come out of the woodwork and help you and
Well,
actually have a big impact on your life.
and I think that's what's so interesting, is that, like, initially no one is there to save you,
Of course.
but
No.
there are people there to save you.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's so interesting. You have to realize there's no one here to save me, but there's everybody here to save me. But you
Yeah.
first have to realize that they can't take you out. Only you can take yourself out. But
Yeah.
then there, you need other people because you can't do it by yourself. So it's interesting in that way. Like,
That's
um,
what kind of sucks about it, having, you know, I know me watching, close friends right now that are still stuck in their addiction. It's hard to watch them make the same mistakes I remember I made. And it's like, it's hard on this side to be
mhm.
like, don't you like, you don't see what you're doing is wrong? But then in my head, I'm like, of course they don't, because I didn't. So of course they don't. They don't see that what they're doing is killing them because you don't care at that point. So it's no, I don't see that the damage I'm doing to my body is long term, and you know I'm gonna pay for this. If this drug doesn't kill me, I'm still gonna pay for this down the line because it's destroying my body. You don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
You don't look at, is my mom up at 2 o'clock in the morning worried about me because I texted her at 1:30 asking her for fucking hundreds of dollars. She told me no, and now God only knows what she thinks that I'm doing out in the streets at
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. But you don't think that way.
No,
Your
not at all.
mind is focused on, well, shit, she said no, so let me move on to the next motherfucker to get my money. So I'm high, and that's what sucks. We don't think about those types of things until it's too late. And for some people, that's where regret comes from. Um, I try my best. I know I have regrets, like me not spending time with my grandfather while he was, having, he was going through cancer, and and I I really should have spent time, with him. And one of my biggest regrets in my addiction is that, and I didn't go to like funerals, and I never got to say goodbye. And those are things that I have to live with now, the rest of my life. And it sucks. And it's something that I'm never gonna fully, recover from because I can accept it and accepted what I've done, but it's a regret that'll stick on my heart until I unfortunately leave this earth.
Yeah.
But I did that, that was my doing, and it sucks. And that's why I know me being as a peer, especially now, that's one of the main things I try to tell people is, the biggest thing is you don't want regret. Regret is sucks. And if you can rebuild a bridge, rebuild it.
One
If
hundred
you
percent.
can, if you can fix a relationship, fix
Fix it.
it. I don't give a fuck what they're asking you to do, unless they're asking you to not put bodily harm to another person, or to put yourself in a bad position. Do it. Other than that, do whatever these people are asking you to do. Whether it's, I want to spend more time, or I want you to, take me here, or shit, I want you to, do stuff with me. It doesn't fucking matter, but do it. That way you can rebuild and fix that relationship, especially when it comes to family members and things like that. That are still, that have the balls to still stand by your side, you know, because there are some people that as soon as they hear that you're doing drugs, the stigma kind of falls onto it, and they don't even want to be bothered with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't even want to hear it. It doesn't matter, what addiction is and stuff. They don't care. Oh, you smoke crack, then I don't want my name associated with
Well,
you.
and I think that's why peers are so important because we we understand what it's like. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw. I was watching this and saw your mouth still moving. Um, I because I clicked onto the wrong screen, but
See, told you
um,
that lag is crazy.
but it we understand what it's like to have been in a position where people have walked away. And so I think for peers, we're like, well, we're not going to walk away, and we know the limit too, though. We know what boundaries to put up. We know like what to do and what not to do, what to say and what not to say, and we can be those ones. And I think that's why peers are so important, and why like and yes, everybody who works in the recovery field, counselors. I mean, I'm a BHT right now, but I think I'm a peer at heart. And you have the nurses and the doctors and all the people that work in the recovery field. I think the
They're all
ones,
important. Yeah,
absolutely. But I think peers have a are almost like, not that peers are a level up from everybody, but they are the ones who know the most, like, and
their
can
connection is
connect, exactly,
that's
can
what it
connect
is.
with
Their
the
connection is the strongest,
is the strongest,
and
and so
and
we can stay by their side and be like, yo, I'm gonna stick with you this whole way, and you don't have to worry about people dropping off, because I'm gonna help you, and I'm gonna show you, not just tell you, I'm gonna show you how it was done,
I think, and
and
that's another thing for peers. You're constantly as a peer, especially a person that's been in addiction. You're constantly. I mean, you're always going to be an addict. You know what I mean? So you're constantly anything that you do is like an example
100%.
of what you want someone else to do. Like, if you're, going to school still, or I got my license, well, that's to show another person that's in addiction, that's, struggling, like, oh shit, like I can
I
get
can
my
get my
license.
license.
Exactly. Like, I can get my GED. Like I can do these. Yeah, you can do these things because I'm doing it. And shit. And trust and believe. If my dumbass can do this, you can do this. Like of all people, I am not anywhere close to a straight A student. I am not close to, knowing exactly the right things to say and to do. My personality sometimes clashes with other people on a constant basis. But but that doesn't mean that I haven't can't do this and do that and make those connections. And if I, like I said, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
And
And everybody usually says that in addiction and in recovery. Like most people say, if I can do it, you can. But it's true,
one hundred
like,
percent. And it's because
well,
it's our own responsibility. Like, we may not have control over, and again, this comes to the nobody's here there to save you. We we have no control over what other people do. We have no
yeah,
control over how other people help us. We have, and like, this is hard for people to accept. Like, we have no control over what other people do to us, and those are some of those things that have led us to addiction. Some people to addiction are those things that other people have done to them, and I think it's important to understand, it's the whole concept behind the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The fact that certain things have happened to me, certain people have done certain things to me, and then have courage to change the things that I can. So while I can't control what has happened to me, what I can control and what I do have control over is how I respond, what my
I believe.
responsibility in it is, and so
See, I believe that part is a lot spiritual wise for a person, like, because that person has to learn to be okay within themselves that I don't need approval anymore, and I don't need to hold grudges anymore.
100%.
And those are things that kind of, it's a more on a spiritual level now. Like you
Well,
have to be
it's an
okay.
if it's a it's even in the physical aspect though too. Like, even physically, whatever someone has done to me, how I still respond is still, like, I still need to get up. Someone can, the say, as the old saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Like, I can be brought to, let's say, a rehab facility, but I still need to take the steps to go in, and so it all goes hand in hand. And I think as you keep going, that's when the spiritual aspect of it comes in, because that's when the resilience aspect of it kicks in, when you start hitting those walls in recovery, and then you're like, okay, now I need just more than let me get up and walk through this door. Now I need, like, the mental and the spiritual fortitude, and that's when you start getting to those.
What just happened? Something's wrong with your mic. Nope. I can't hear nothing that you're saying. It says that your mic is shut off. Something's wrong with your mic. At least that's what it says on my screen.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. But
Sounds like just see a mouth moving. Like what? What's happening?
we're good now. We're good now. Um,
Constant technical difficulties on this
that
show.
hey, that means something good's being said. It's
Yeah.
so it's trying to stop it. Um, but I think there's that level of you have to um understand like there's certain things I need to do. I have a responsibility that I need to recognize, and I can't control what someone has done or what someone will do.
So here's
And
a question: when you being in recovery now, do you remember when that happened for you? Do you
that that
remember when
mindset that
it,
mindset
it
switch.
yeah, when that mindset, kind of was like, oh shit, okay, I need to, I know I need to change, but then the
Mm-hmm.
change is I have to be the change.
Yeah,
It's
I
easy to take the steps into
100%.
recovery, but it's like okay, but obviously I have flaws. Now
Absolutely.
now I have to fix those flaws. But you have it's not it doesn't it hits for everybody at a different time. It's not
100%.
like you walk into recovery and it all clicks. So that's what I'm asking.
No, I think I'm still slowly. I don't think I've all the way come to that, and that's why I think, like you said, being a peer, it's like I'm walking the same road as you. Like I'm not just saying like, hey, you need to forgive people, and I've never given, or I don't know the how difficult it is to forgive people. I'm saying it because I'm going through the same thing, and I'm having to at the same time you're having to learn how to forgive people too. And so I think that's another reason why being a peer is so um, important, because it's that shared experience. And I'm still, we say it all the time at residential, like we're one bad decision away from being a client ourselves. Like, and
Yeah.
so we always need to keep that in our minds, is that I'm no better than the people that I'm serving.
I
Like
think that's
I
what makes peers better. Like I don't mean better,
no, not at
I
all.
don't mean better, but I mean that's what makes our connection a little bit more stronger. When it
Absolutely.
comes to doing our job, than there's someone that hasn't been in addiction because of that exact reason. Because at the end of the day, we're fighting the same battle at the same time. We're only a bad decision, a rough day, any a death in the family, any type of thing that you're dealing with on an everyday life. Now we're only a shit, I can't handle this,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe I don't want to go down this road, or maybe if I just do it once, those thoughts and those
Yeah.
mistakes can lead you down such a dark road that, and then when you take that dark road, you have to remember there are people that look up to you. So when you take that dark road, God only knows how many people you're pulling down with you this
One
time
hundred
around.
percent.
That's why there's also a very being in recovery nowadays is a lot of responsibility, whether
Mm-hmm.
people see it or not. It takes a lot to be in recovery, but then it takes a lot because a lot of people we all use someone else, regardless of in whatever stage we're at in our recovery, we all use someone else as our outline, you
Absolutely.
know, and when that person it's like when your Obi-Wan falls down, you like, well, fuck it. If that nigga fell in, then I'm a fall too. You're not gonna. Very rarely does someone step up and say, well, that my mentor fell, so I'm gonna surpass the mentor. 9 times out of 10, when your mentor falls, you kind of fall with them.
Hmm.
And that's why it's
And
so important.
if not right
Yeah,
away, a little bit after.
yeah, a little bit after, exactly. So it's like, if you being when you take that step into, I'm gonna be a peer and I'm gonna help others, there's so much responsibility that goes into that, and you have to, like, set a certain example, which is a good thing, because
Hmm.
it kind of pushes you into
It's that
that.
extra accountability.
Exactly. It kind of is your, I don't know for anybody else, but for me, it's like my personal safety net. I used drug court originally to get me into, my sobriety, and they held me accountable, and my outpatients and things like that. But I'm now in a stage in my life where I don't need those things as much. I may need here and there, but I nowhere near that need that as much anymore. But I hold myself accountable in different ways. That way I don't fall. And that
Absolutely.
way I don't set a bad example for the people that I'm trying to help. Like us being on this podcast. We connect to a lot of people and try our best to help a lot of other people that watch our podcast. Do you know what it would do if to find out one of us relapse? God only knows what that would mean,
One hundred
and
percent.
how what that would do to the people that sit and watch our show and been following us for, how many X amount of days or months or years that we're gonna be on. And it's like, we can destroy lives.
See,
So
and I
you
think that's for people who are in that position, and this topic can connect with so many different people, because you have people who are going through it, who need to know, like, okay, I need to focus on myself, and I can't worry about, like, yes, I follow this person and I look up to this person, but I need to focus on me, so that if they do slip, I have to remember that's their recovery and this is mine. So for those people, there's that. But then there's the people who do lead, and it's like, you do have people, and you have to recognize that, okay, there's people at different stages in recovery, um, that we're talking to, and so there might be somebody who is looking up to us, and like you said, will see us if we fell, and be like, man, if they can fall, like, that means I'm gonna fall too. But then there's the other people who are like, well, I mean, it's my recovery. So if you fall, that doesn't have anything to do on me. Like, yeah, it sucks, but I still need to do me. But then there's the people listening who are in our position, and for that, it's like, you need to be at this certain spot where you're like, I need to be able to lead my life, and I need to be able to lead my team or my relationship, like, before I go and help other people.
I think I think
Like, you
those are
need to
all
lead
different.
yourself. 100%, they're all different.
Yeah, though, I think, no, like, not different. I think those are all different in stages. You know what I
No,
mean? Like,
absolutely.
that that's
You
that's
come in
that's
stages.
like, the way you're describing it is basically like, at like, if you're at a peer level, you're kind of at your peak level of,
Absolutely.
going on with your life. Now, if
100%.
you're somebody that's, following and kind of still, like, if that person falls off, I'm gonna try to do better.
You're
That's
at
like,
the
you're a few step you're just a stage under us, where
Absolutely.
you're finally realizing that you're in control of your life. And that, yeah, you may have needed somebody to take the wheel for a while, but you're at that point now where you don't need that anymore. You're back in control of your life. And now it's time for you to start, taking responsibility and moving on. It's stages.
Hmm.
And when we first start recovery, we give up that right. when we all first started our recovery, line, we gave up the right to make decisions and all that because obviously our decision making was flawed. And but once we now have more ways of looking at things and kind of support now, and the things that were broken inside us is starting to kind of form and get fixed, then that's when now that's when you start deciding, okay, I don't need as much support anymore, and now
Hmm.
it's not them making me take this road, I'm taking this road for myself.
100%.
But it takes it's like you said, it's a click.
Hmm.
It's something that it I can't explain it because everybody's different.
Well, and
But
that's
it's
why
just
there's the higher and lower level of cares for rehabs. Um,
exactly. You
like
got the
where I work in reintegration, and so like where when they come to us, they should be at the level of like, okay, I'm gonna go make my own appointment. I'm gonna go
yeah,
take care of this. I'm gonna go do that because it's like, okay, now you're not fully there, but now you're starting to work on those skills and bring back those
yeah,
skills. And how am I gonna talk at an interview? How am I gonna put together a resume? How am I gonna do things like that? Because now you're starting to take back your life. But then there's the higher level of care where it's like, hey, you're not going anywhere. We're going to control when you eat. We're going to control where you go. Because you need to like you're so focused on getting off the substance that
yeah.
it's like we'll take care of everything else. Trust that we've got you, and you just focus on getting clean.
Yeah, see, mine is a step, in my peer counseling because I'm just starting, and also because I chose to still help people that are in their addiction. I'm kind of the beginning part. I'm trying to get them to realize I need to take that step. I'm the one that's still you know, handing out, dip pads for their drugs and things like that. But then also saying, hey, there's an outpatient, right around the corner, or maybe, oh, what, you're trying to get your apartment, or you don't think you want to do this anymore. Well, maybe there's a way to go, and here's the place to go to. I think each person, especially us as peers, we need to, like, go through all those job kind of titles, because you have to learn, okay, this is how it is in the trenches, this is how it is, at your stage, this is how it is when you start making even bigger decisions that are above you. You It's one of those jobs, which is why being a peer is actually such a fucking amazing job. It's so awesome.
I
It's
agree,
it's a job that you grow with, and as you grow with, you learn so much at every stage.
one
Every
hundred
stage has
percent.
something new to teach you, which is nothing bad, because all it does is give you more tools to help other people.
Absolutely,
It's like it's what's cool about it is it's just like being a doctor or a nurse or a psychiatrist. What you're learning on an everyday basis is just another tool to help somebody.
100%.
And if you're somebody that likes helping people, then you're kind of in the job of a lifetime. Like,
Hmm.
I'm helping save somebody from their addiction, and I'm
As I'm
saving
learning,
their life as I'm learning.
and
Exactly.
as
And
I'm
I'm
saving my life as well.
Exactly. Exactly, on the icing on the cake is, whether I see it or not, I'm saving my life. Doing this, me
And
saving you
I
is
say that a
saving me.
lot of times, like when I'll do a group at work, at the end I'm like, man, I needed that group today more than I think the clients needed that group.
Exactly. Like, you saved my life today. Thank you, guys. I remember a counselor used to say that his name was Mike, and he was our counselor, and he would say that sometimes, like, thank you guys for coming in today. Da da da. You made me sober for another day. Just like I'm trying to help you guys. You guys helped me as much as you know. And it's that's how. but it's a bigger way of
It's that
looking at it.
circle.
That's how it is in life in general.
Hmm.
If you kind of realize it, that's life in general. When you start to learn those things in your regular everyday life, it's the same exact thing. You kind of learn, and though if the world could be like that on a regular basis,
It'd be
it,
perfect.
we be it'd be heaven, because to constantly learn from another person, and to be like, yo, thank you, you made my day by just being here. Well, oh shit, well, all I had to do, was be nice to you, and now my day is 10 times better. Fuck. Like, how do you do that? Well, it's easy. You help, as long as you're helping somebody else in their everyday life, whatever it is, it's always going to benefit you. It may be small from time to time, it may be big from time to time. It's a matter of how you look at it and how you kind of use it. I don't go out every day, and when I volunteer at churches or something like that, I'm not doing it as it's gonna teach me anything. But of course, I learn something. If I
Yeah,
go in thinking I'm not gonna learn nothing, then of course I ain't gonna learn shit. But if I'm
absolutely.
going in there saying, I know for a fact today I'm gonna learn something new, because every day I learn something new. Oh shit! Look how much shit I learned today. Look at the ideas I got today. Oh shit! I get so many ideas from my podcast just by doing everyday things, in things that I to help other people. I
Yeah,
help other people, it gives me ideas. How many times do me and you sit and brainstorm about what, ideas that we come up together? 9 times out of 10, my ideas are because I was helping somebody, and
facts.
they kind of gave me the idea, or it came up during that helpful moment. I'm like, oh shit, this sounds like it's kind of cool. Let
Yeah,
me use it. Um, I feel like that's exactly how, if the world could do that on an everyday thing, on like in a more broader aspect, we would never, like, it would be such a beautiful, more utopia. But unfortunately, the world isn't perfect, and
sadly.
unfortunately, you have people out there that um aren't raised that way and don't look at life that way, which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
So and like, just like positive spreads, so does negativity. So if that person is like that, I'm pretty sure that they've spread that negative nastiness to like 20 other people, and now those people are like that. So it's a constant battle, and if you don't know how to fight that battle, and you don't have the necessary tools, that's how you fall into addiction, depression, things like that. And I think a lot of that is comes from, like, at a young age. Parents, parents aren't comfortable talk. Some parents, now I'm not gonna say all, but some parents and some educators aren't okay with talking about these types of things, and I think that's where the problem starts. Communicate and teach kids this, and or not everything, but teach them small parts of this about mental health and how it's important, and how speaking up, and asking for help. I believe that our older generation, it worked for them to, as men, to bottle up, your emotions. That worked in
absolutely.
that generation, but in this generation, in this time, it's not how we should be anymore. Now it's, don't be afraid to ask for help when you're struggling.
Well, I
That
think
doesn't,
I think it we still need a little bit of it, um, because we've all had the pieces of it to get up out of the hole. But I think
of
it's
course.
what do I do after I get out of the hole? It's I can't, like, and it goes back to that, like, realizing you don't need anybody to save you until you realize you need people to save you. And
Yeah.
so it's
And once
like,
you get out the hole, I mean, the sky's the limit. That's what's so amazing about it. Once you get out the
now
hole,
go and get help.
that's what's kind of like so amazing about it. Like, once you get out the hole, you know, and you can do anything. You
Yeah.
can do anything. It's just a matter of getting out of the hole, which is why addiction sucks the way it does, because it takes that feeling, that feeling of, like, now when you wake up in the morning, you feel good.
Hmm.
You wake up in the morning, you feel like, let's get some shit done. But when you're in addiction, that is sucked right out of you. You wake up every day like, ugh, like I have to go and get drugs, or I have to go and figure out ways to get my shit today, or I have to get high because where I'm at in my life is not where I want to be, and I don't know how to get through it. And
Yeah.
because I don't know how to say, help me, I rather just self medicate, and I don't give a fuck what I'm taking or how I self medicate. I learned that when we talked about weed and it being that type of what do you call it? That being
Gateway.
a gateway drug. Exactly. Thank you. That I learned that as I was still learning in that episode, and I kind of learned that kind of about myself. A lot when I was younger. That's why you need to be educated when you're younger. When I
Hmm.
was younger, I was using that, in such the wrong ways, and I think that's why being young and smoking is not good,
Hmm.
because it kind of takes away your ability to, like, understand, like, I am depressed, or I have anxiety, or I have a issue that needs to be addressed, not suppressed.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that's why it's I don't see it as a gateway drug, but I see it as kind of like a blocker at a certain age.
Hmm.
It's different
Absolutely.
when if you said you can smoke weed at which it does. Technically, the laws do say you're supposed to, you can smoke weed at this age, but no one ever follows that.
No.
It's unfortunate
Just like
that.
with alcohol.
Exactly. No one ever follows that because everybody breaks the law in their own way. There's, always the guy at the corner store that, he's willing to look past the fact you don't got ID, stupid things like that. But that's okay, I guess, in some aspects of your life. But then there's a time and place where it doesn't, and it hinders a person, and it kind of puts them in a bad place in their life. The person selling me weed, at the time it was fun, but now as I'm older, I realize that kind of fucked me up.
Hmm.
Not me doing smoking weed. Yeah, I made strong connections with my friends, and yeah, we never did anything that got us in trouble. We would just get high, but then I realized I was going through a lot of depression at the time, and instead of me going to my mother and going to my father about things that I had issues with in my childhood that I needed help with, I just smoked it away and thinking it would go away. Now, as I grow as a man, here I am, and I'm still doing the same thing. But now that's why I need stronger drugs, because now I have stronger issues and
Absolutely.
I don't know how to deal. So I need stronger drugs to deal with these stronger issues because I never learned how to express them or ask for help. And
Absolutely. And I think that's why with that topic, like, because we came to the conclusion, like, okay, well, it's how it's being sold, and I think it does at the end of the day as well. Like, how are you starting it?
yeah,
Because like with alcohol, I never grew up looking at alcohol as an escape. It was always an accessory to like hanging out with family. And so,
yeah.
like, oh, it's Christmas time. Of course, there's going to be a couple bottles of wine because
Pop bottles.
I grew I grew up in an Italian culture. So it's like, okay, there's always going to be wine at dinner,
Yeah,
and things like that. And so it was never like alcohol never became a problem to me because I'm like it was in addition to not use this to escape. Um, weed was never a problem with me because it was never looked at when I did it growing up as, oh, I'm doing this to suppress something. It was more, oh, like, yo, we're about to chill and have a good time, smoke this. And so I think that's why, like, now I'm I'm more okay with smoking weed because it's like I don't look at it as an escape. It's something I use to like put thoughts in place and things like that, and so and open up my creativity and things like that. So it's but then when I went to crack, it was, oh, I'm using this as an escape, and so that's when it starts becoming like that taboo, like it's now controlling you rather than you controlling it.
I think that depends on the person. You know,
One
like
hundred
you said,
percent, one
that
hundred
really
percent.
depends on the person. Because as you can use weed in your childhood as just a recreational drug,
There's some
there's
people who don't.
people like me that used it, and because I didn't know any better, and because I wasn't educated on what I was taking, I didn't realize that, oh shit, I have a problem with depression, but I don't
Absolutely.
understand that because I'm constantly high. So because I'm constantly high, I don't realize, shit, I have a problem with depression.
Hmm.
But I never realize it. But then now fast forward, I'm in my 20s, my 30s, I'm dealing with depression and I still don't know how to deal with it. But now my depression is stopping me from doing things like going to work or having meaningful relationships with a spouse, that now I'm like, okay, I need something stronger to numb this so I can be normal. Well, what else can I use? And then that's when other drugs start coming into
Hmm.
play, which makes it a kind of like a bad thing. Which for me, that's a gateway drug. That doesn't help me. And and
Absolutely.
and and because
Because
I'm,
like you said, it's that that's why people go from crack to then heroin, and because
exactly.
you're needing that stronger. And so like you said, if you're starting out by uh using it as a way to suppress, you're gonna eventually have to upgrade because, like it says, uh, what 1,000 is never enough, but one's too much. And so,
That's why I go to my original thing. Like it starts when we're young, and it starts
one
with,
hundred percent.
it kind of starts in the home and in the education system, kind of like informing kids of what these drugs do to you, and what it has. And it's unfortunate that that's something that you have to learn in school. Especially at a child's age, it sucks, but that's just the world we live in now. And to make sure that our kids and my nieces, my nephews, and my sons and daughters, when I have them, to make sure that they know that this drug, it can lead to other things, and if you don't know what this drug is capable of doing to you, it could possibly make your life worse because you'll look for a higher source of a drug.
Hmm.
You need to know what you're stepping into when you're lighting a blunt. You know, what does this lead to? Are you one of the lucky few that get creative and this drug helps you to, excel? Or are you like a majority of the world where this drug just numbs your pain and it leads to something different? Because most of the people in the world, it doesn't make them a creative person. It just numbs them. You may
Hmm.
be a lucky one where you were a creative person and could draw better and things, but 9 times out of the 10, that's not what people do when they smoke weed. 9 times out of 10, it's I'm hungry, I'm high. They'll laugh with friends. You make dumb choices most of the fucking time, and it's nothing that, and you laughed about it, but it's not till later on where you like, oh shit, that's where you pay for it. And then you
Yeah.
get some people that it opened up their mind to, they became a creative person, where it's like it helped them shit become multimillionaires because they learned how to draw and things like that. So I mean, I'm learning, and but these are all things that I learned as I became a peer in my life to help others.
Well,
These are
and
all
that's
things
why
that
that's one thing I think that they are failing at now that they've made it legal is okay, you made it legal. Now just like how you educate kids about alcohol in school, now you need to start
educate them with
educating
it.
them about weed as well. So
Exactly.
that they can know how to responsibly use it. And
Hmm.
that's why a lot of people who like, okay, well, I'm gonna have a glass of wine with dinner. 9 times out of 10, they have come from a background where they were taught how to use it responsibly. And
Exactly.
like with my parents always told me like they and not that they had to sit down and tell me. It's you just it's that example. Like
You
I
led by
I've
example. Yeah,
absolutely.
like
So I've only seen, and not that I've seen of course people abuse it, but I've seen like growing up, all I saw alcohol used for was like, oh, it's a football, it's Sunday, and my dad just got out from outside doing yard work, and he grabbed a Heineken,
it's a
and so
recreational thing. It's
yeah,
not an everyday thing. So it's like a treat, which is what you kind of learn. But that's what makes that's what makes the parents and teachers so
important.
responsible about it and important because it's what their example that teaches you, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like it's okay if I me seeing my cousins and stuff, they never used to do drugs. So when I did drugs, I thought it was, oh, what I'm doing is bad. That's what I'm supposed to feel because I'm not supposed to be smoking at my age.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to be like, ooh, I'm doing something bad. That's what I'm supposed to do. Now, if my cousins were smoking though, or my dad or my mom were smoking, depending how they used the drug, and me seeing it, I would look at it as okay, well, they're doing it this way, so it has to be done in a responsible way, But if as long as someone's kind of educating you on it, it helps. But when you just don't explain anything and expect what the child to just look at everybody and take guesses, then of course that child 9 times, maybe not 9 times out of 10, but it's a 50-50 shot
one
that
hundred
is either
percent.
going to make the right choice and know how to do the drug responsibly, or they're going to make the fucked up choice
It's
and
Russian
use it.
roulette.
Yeah, and that's not, that's not nowadays. These decisions aren't like, oh well, he smoked weed and now he works at McDonald's, but he's still living. It's not
Now
like
it's a
that
life or
anymore.
death.
Exactly. Now it's, this motherfucker went from smoking weed to needles in his arms and he's dead. And it's it's a ripple effect. And 9 times out of 10, these people have kids, and now the kids have seen this or heard this that my dad, died doing this, and then it gives them the same type of trauma that leads to, oh well, fuck it, I'm gonna smoke weed and I'm gonna do it this way, and oh, there's another one now that fell down the rabbit hole, So it's about responsibility
Mm-hmm.
and evolving, but evolving with communication,
One hundred
and
percent.
I feel like if you could communicate, if we were all a little bit better in our speaking up and not being so scared to speak, then it would change so many ways and so many views on helping others. Um, I,
Absolutely.
I kind of tell my peers to do that. Speak up. Fuck that. Don't. I'd rather you offend me and because you asked me a question or something, then don't ask me at all, and it affects you negatively. Fuck that.
Absolutely.
Ask me whatever question you need to ask, and if you're not too sure about it, trust me. You
Well,
know
not offending people, not wanting to offend people is what keeps people stuck where they are.
exactly. Don't be worried about offending somebody. Speak up and say something, and if you offend somebody in any type of way, oh well. It's
Usually when you offend somebody, it's because what you just said is true.
exactly not usually, or you put their thoughts on front blast, and
Mm-hmm.
now they don't know how to deal with it because you fucking usually were right,
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like it's all about kind of the responsibility with speaking and communication, and it's not easy. Those are things that as a peer, and me taking my schooling seriously, and me talking to other counselors that have been in the business a little bit longer, and me being in addiction has is kind of teaching me, and it's making me more responsible about the things that come out my mouth now.
Absolutely.
Now I'm not so keen to curse somebody out, or I watch what I say when I'm around certain other people now. Not as I'm trying to hide something now, because that's what you do when you're a kid, is because I'm hiding something. No, now it's because I'm trying to be a responsible adult, and I'm
Absolutely.
trying not to harm someone else, and I'm
Absolutely.
trying to educate others, and that comes with growth, and that's
Wisdom.
that and wisdom, and those are things that you get over time, as you go on in life, and enjoy these wonderful days that we call weekdays and weekends,
Existence.
existence, if that's it,
But
existence.
I think at the end of the day, that is um, the point of it all is, like, just make sure that you're good, that you're
Yeah,
listening really before you quick to listen, slow to speak,
yeah,
and that you're trying to soak it all in, and that you're using the right people to take example from, because it goes both ways.
right,
You can rise and you can fall based on who it is that you're following, and so
yeah,
um, and at the end of the day, you have the choice to make of who am I going to follow, and
that's
so
right.
um, thank you, Scorpio, uh,
Always. I had an
for
awesome time, man.
another amazing episode. We had
Another
some
one bites the dust.
another one bites the dust. We had some technical difficulty, but that's what makes this so real and raw. Uh, so it gives gives appreciation to it, and lets people know, and it's part of that consistency. Like, we're gonna keep pushing regardless.
And get
Um,
better as we keep going. So
Absolutely, and so um, if you want to get some merch, check out our merch. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure to go over to the YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, so that you can know when we upload a new episode and we come on live.
that's
Um,
right.
we'll be back tomorrow night. Um, I can't wait. But that's about it. We dedicate this, of course, to those people that we know. They know who they are, who we dedicate these episodes to, and so it's for them, and it's for the people who haven't been able to have a voice. So uh, thank you for those people. Thank you for the people who um, have supported us in what we've done.
Thank
Um,
you.
yes, we couldn't do it without you guys. So that is all until tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you again, Scorpio. As usual, it's been a
Thank
blessing.
you for having me.
But stay humble, stay hungry, but most of all, stay
Stay
savage.
savage.
Preacher out.
After the retweet some action, no treaties, your CDs are frisbee, trash them, has been. Speak royalty when you say the name, and speak loyalty when you say the gang. Trend hoppers follow whatever's